Moscow, Idaho, a peaceful college town nestled in the rolling hills of the Palouse, was the kind of place where neighbors greeted each other by name, and the biggest excitement was a homecoming football game or a new cafe opening downtown. For generations, families felt safe letting their children walk to school, and students at the University of Idaho enjoyed a sense of freedom and security that's rare in today's world. It was a town where doors were left unlocked, and the rhythm of daily life was slow, familiar, and comforting. But all of that changed in November 2022, when the unthinkable happened. The tranquility that had defined Moscow for so long was shattered in an instant, leaving residents stunned and searching for answers. On a quiet Sunday morning, as the town was just beginning to wake, police responded to a distressing call at a rental house on King Road. What they found inside would haunt the community forever. The bodies of 4 young students, each one a beloved friend, classmate, and family member, victims of a brutal and senseless crime that defied explanation. The scene was so shocking, so out of place in this gentle town, that it seemed almost unreal. Word of the tragedy spread with lightning speed. Within hours, the story had leapt from local whispers to national headlines, and Moscow found itself at the center of a media storm. Fear and disbelief rippled through the community, as families locked their doors and students huddled together, trying to make sense of the horror that had invaded their lives. The town's sense of safety was gone, replaced by a deep and lingering paranoia, and a heartbreak that touched everyone. With no suspect in custody and no murder weapon recovered, the investigation began under a heavy cloud of uncertainty. Detectives worked around the clock, combing through evidence and interviewing anyone who might have answers, but the lack of clear leads only deepened the anxiety. Rumors swirled, and the town's collective grief was compounded by a growing sense of vulnerability. For the first time, Moscow's residents questioned whether they truly knew their neighbors, or if a killer was hiding in plain sight. The house on King Road, once just another student rental, became a grim symbol of loss and unanswered questions. As investigators searched for clues, the community waited in agony, desperate for justice and closure. No one could have predicted that the search for answers would soon lead to an unexpected suspect, someone who, chillingly, had devoted his life to studying the very nature of crime itself. As the investigation into the shocking murders in Moscow, Idaho unfolded, a name began to surface in hushed conversations and confidential police briefings: Brian Kohberger. The small college town, once known for its quiet streets and close-knit community, was suddenly thrust into the national spotlight. Residents watched anxiously as law enforcement combed through evidence, searching for any clue that could lead to the perpetrator. Just across the state line, only a short drive away, Kohberger was living a seemingly ordinary life as a 28-year-old PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. The proximity between the two universities, mere miles apart, added a chilling layer to the unfolding story, as students and faculty alike grappled with the realization that the suspect could have been walking among them. Kohberger's academic journey was marked by a deep fascination with the criminal mind. He had spent years immersed in the study of criminal justice, earning multiple degrees and focusing his research on the psychology and decision-making processes of offenders. His coursework and research projects often delved into the motivations behind violent crimes, and he was known to ask probing questions about the nature of evil and the boundaries of morality. Professors and classmates described Kohberger as highly intelligent, meticulous, and intensely focused on his studies. Yet, there was an awkwardness about him, a sense that he struggled to connect with others on a personal level. He was often seen alone, absorbed in his work, rarely participating in campus social life. Some recalled his relentless curiosity, while others noted a certain intensity that set him apart. The chilling irony was impossible to ignore. Kohberger was mastering the very forensic and psychological techniques that law enforcement would ultimately use to track down the killer. His studies included everything from crime scene analysis to offender profiling, giving him a unique insight into both the minds of criminals and the methods used to catch them. This led many to wonder, was Kohberger's intense research simply a quest for academic knowledge, or was there something darker lurking beneath the surface? Did his fascination with crime cross a line from curiosity to obsession? The questions grew more urgent as investigators uncovered more about his background and interests. As the investigation progressed, the line between student and suspect blurred in the most horrifying way. The campus community, once a place of learning and safety, was now gripped by fear and uncertainty. Students questioned whether they had ever truly known the people sitting beside them in class. The theories Koberger once debated in academic settings, about motive, opportunity, and the nature of criminal behavior, were no longer just abstract ideas. They had become the very heart of a real-life murder investigation, leaving a community to grapple with the unsettling reality that the pursuit of knowledge can sometimes lead to the darkest of places. Months before the murders, Koberger posted a research survey on Reddit, seeking ex-convicts to describe their thoughts and feelings during crimes. The survey's probing questions about planning, targeting, and emotions seemed routine for a criminology student, but took on a sinister light after the murders. Investigators wondered, was this academic curiosity or a blueprint for violence? The survey became a chilling piece of evidence, suggesting premeditation and a disturbing fascination with the mechanics of crime. Former FBI agents flagged it as a red flag, connecting his academic interests directly to the case. The man who wanted to understand criminals was now accused of becoming one. His research, once theoretical, was now evidence in a real-life tragedy. The night of November 13, 2022, began with a sense of normalcy in the college town of Moscow, Idaho. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan, best friends since childhood, decided to spend their Saturday night at a popular local bar, enjoying laughter and conversation, surrounded by the familiar faces of their small community. The bar was lively, filled with the energy of students unwinding after a long week of classes, and the two young women blended seamlessly into the crowd, unaware of the tragedy that would soon unfold. Meanwhile, Zana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin were at a nearby fraternity party. The house was packed with students, music pulsing through the walls, and the carefree spirit of youth in the air. For Zana and Ethan, it was just another night of fun, surrounded by friends and the excitement of college life. The four friends, each enjoying their own evening, had no idea their paths would soon converge in a way that would shock the nation. In the early hours of the morning, all four returned to the King Roadhouse, a familiar two-story home they shared with two other roommates. The house, nestled in a quiet neighborhood, was a typical student rental, its walls filled with memories of late-night study sessions, laughter, and friendship. As the night wore on, the house settled into silence, its occupants drifting off to sleep, unaware of the horror that was about to descend. Around 4 a.m., one of the surviving roommates sleeping on the first floor was startled awake by strange noises coming from upstairs. She heard what sounded like crying, a male voice comforting someone. And then, in a moment that would haunt her forever, she saw a masked figure silently walk past her room and slip out the back door. Frozen in fear, she locked herself in her room, not realizing the full extent of what had just occurred. By morning, the quiet street was transformed into a crime scene. Police arrived to a scene of unimaginable horror. 4 young lives had been brutally taken, each victim stabbed to death in their beds. The two surviving roommates, unharmed but traumatized, had slept through most of the attack, their lives spared for reasons no one could understand. Investigators scoured the house and surrounding area for clues, but the murder weapon, a large, fixed-blade knife, was nowhere to be found. Its absence only deepened the mystery, leaving detectives in the community desperate for answers. The brief, terrifying encounter with the masked intruder provided police with their first lead. A description of a tall, athletically built man with bushy eyebrows. This chilling detail became the focus of the investigation, as authorities worked tirelessly to identify the suspect and bring justice to the victims. As news of the murders spread, the community was gripped by fear and confusion. Why were some targeted and others spared? Was it random, or was there a deeper motive? The randomness of the attack haunted everyone, and the pain of loss was felt throughout the town. Candlelight vigils were held and students gathered to mourn, seeking comfort in each other as they tried to make sense of the senseless violence. The brutality of that night shattered the peace of Moscow, Idaho, leaving a scar on the town that would never fully heal. The events of November 13th would forever change the lives of those who called this quiet community home. At the heart of this tragedy were 4 young lives, each full of promise. Kaylee Goncalves, adventurous and fiercely loyal, was weeks from graduation and a new job in Texas. Madison Mogan, her best friend since childhood, was known for her humor and zest for life. Zana Kernodal, a free spirit, and Ethan Chapin, her fun-loving boyfriend, were inseparable and beloved by friends and family. Ethan, a triplet and athlete, was visiting Zana that night. Their loss devastated families and friends, leaving a void in the community. The theft of their futures became the story's deepest wound. The investigation was daunting: no suspect, no weapon, and mounting public pressure. Detectives combed through thousands of tips and hours of surveillance, eventually spotting a white Hyundai Elantra circling the crime scene. A public plea for help with the car brought a breakthrough. At the scene, police found a knife sheath with male DNA, no database match, but a crucial clue. The car was traced to Brian Kohberger, whose physical description matched the witness account. Cell phone records placed him near the house on multiple occasions, with his phone off during the murders. The evidence, car, DNA, and digital footprints, began to form a compelling case. The net was closing in on the criminology student. Experts believe Kohberger may have underestimated the Moscow police, assuming a small-town force lacked the resources to solve such a crime. He likely thought his academic knowledge gave him an edge, turning off his phone, choosing a quiet town. But this was a fatal miscalculation. The Moscow police worked with state and federal agencies, including the FBI, pooling resources and expertise. Advanced forensic labs, genetic genealogy, and a multi-agency task force made the investigation relentless. Kohberger wasn't just up against local cops, he faced the full might of American law enforcement. The belief he could outsmart them proved disastrously wrong. As evidence mounted, Kohberger and his father drove cross-country to Pennsylvania, closely monitored by the FBI. Police collected DNA from family trash, linking Kohberger to the crime scene through his father's genetic profile. In a dramatic pre-dawn raid, FBI SWAT arrested Kohberger at his parents' home. The arrest, nearly 7 weeks after the murders, stunned the nation. Kohberger was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. He waived extradition and was returned to Idaho to face trial. The manhunt was over, but the legal battle was just beginning. The community and families braced for a long road ahead. With Kohberger in custody, the case shifted to the courts. He stood silent at arraignment. The judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty, raising the stakes for all involved. The legal process has been slow, marked by pre-trial motions and challenges to the evidence. Both sides prepare for a trial that will be closely watched nationwide. For the families and the town of Moscow, the wait for justice is agonizing. The hope remains for closure and peace after a crime that forever changed their community.